Hello everyone, this is Jamie at Auto Checkers. Somebody the other day commented on one of my Beetle videos. It was a 1.8 litre turbo new Beetle, and said that perhaps I should do another walk and talk with another car. As it happens, I actually have another Beetle. This particular Beetle is my wife's new VW Beetle. It's a used VW Beetle, but it's the new shape Beetle. And so I'm just going to talk about a few things that I did on this car to prepare it and get it in good serviceable condition. And some of you will be laughing at this point because, as you know, I'm not a huge fan of German cars, and the Beetle is really no different. I'm not a huge fan because of the build quality of the car. As I've said before, the plastics really aren't that great, and a lot of the components really aren't that great. So I've had to really go over the car with a fine-tooth comb and try and weed out any potential problems before they happen and cause the car to be stuck at the side of the road. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to show you some of the work that I've done. It's a bit hot here today. I've had to turn off the fan because it's rather noisy and you'll hear it on the video. So excuse me if I start dripping all over the place. Alright, let's go ahead. So, excuse the wobbly video. This is the 2 litre, and it's normally aspirated. There's no turbo on this model. It's a 4-cylinder, and as you can see, the intake manifold goes across the rocker cover, which is underneath this plastic shroud. Again, VW like to hide the workings of their engines and make them prettier by putting these shrouds on the top, as a lot of modern cars do. Excuse this one, it's a little bit dirty. I have been working on it a lot. It's about to be sent to the valeters on Monday, and they're going to clean up this entire engine bay along with the rest of the car. We bought this one. I was impressed with the level of attention that the previous owner had given to it. Although I've changed a lot of stuff, but the actual basic condition of this particular car is very good. They've spent a lot of money and a lot of time already doing the plastics, the interior plastics, taking off that goo that I've described before. So this one is glue-free, which is rather nice, makes it much more pleasant to sit in. I'm going to just talk about some of the things to look out for on your used Beetle. Some of them I may have mentioned before, and I might be going over some old ground with this, but I can actually show you some of the parts that came off this car. I've got them in a small pile over here. So first of all, this is a breather hose, and you can see there's nothing physically wrong with this particular breather hose. This breather hose, as you can see, goes from the rocker cover here. This is an oil breather vent hose. It goes back into the air intake over here. And why did I replace this hose? Well, this one isn't split, as I said, but when you squeeze these hoses, you'll notice the new hoses, in Chinese they say QQ, it's kind of like a gummy bear. Kind of the same consistency as a gummy bear. And that's nice, it keeps its shape. And the old one, because it's made of this, well, in Chinese, again, they call it 环保材质, which literally means environmentally friendly material. And what happens with these is it breaks down over time. So if you squeeze this hose, this one is way too soft. This is more like chewing gum. And what happened was this hose was on here, and you can see it crimps at this point because it's now too soft. It's broken down. Eventually this would split, and you'd end up with an air leak. You'd end up with rough idle perhaps, and oil spewing out all over your engine bay. So I've changed this before it gets too serious. Some other parts I've changed. Okay, this one I really feel that people should be warned about this particular hose. This is the expensive one I mentioned on my other video. This is the vacuum hose. It goes to the brake servo unit, and it goes way back here. You can't really see, it's too dark. Let me get a light. Hang on a second. So you can just see the top of the hose there as it arches over and goes down into the servo unit. And that one's nice and shiny because it's a brand new one. and this one is the old one. And what happens, as you can see right here, is they split. And this is, again, a good example of the horrible plastics that German cars employ on their vehicles. And this is seriously potentially dangerous because this hose is not a terrible split yet. It still had vacuum assistance on this braking system, but the engine was rough idling because it was running lean. And it ran lean because the engine can suck additional air through this split and into the intake manifold. And what happens is when this split gets worse and travels farther up the side, as it no doubt will, then you'll lose vacuum assistance to your brakes. And this happens on every single VW Beetle around this year. This is a 2000 model, but I saw this split on another 2002 model. It's now 2013, so talking about 11 years, 10, 11 years, you'll get out of a hose like this. It's a pretty expensive hose, although I found this one cheaper. This was less than 2000 NT for a simple piece of hose. Had to be replaced. So I went ahead and I changed the timing belt on this one. This is not the timing belt. I'll get to that in a second. Just as a preventative measure, I don't want the belt failing on this car. I looked up the service history at VW. Couldn't find that the belt had been changed. The car's done about 74,000 kilometers now. On VWs, the only great thing about VWs really is that they provide an inspection cover on the timing belt. So you can take this top cover off, pull the inspection cover off, and you could look at the belt and see its physical condition. This one was a little bit shiny, a little bit old. Wasn't yet cracked up, but as you can see, the condition isn't that great. So I went ahead and replaced that, and along with that, I replaced the water pump. Again, as a preventative measure, this one hadn't failed. It wasn't leaking any water. The bearing was fine, but I decided to change it anyway because taking the belt off is a major job in itself. There's very little space down here in the engine bay, and it's quite a big job. On most Japanese cars I've changed belts on, it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour. This one took me about 6 hours, so no fun at all. And yeah, getting back to the water pump, sorry, I'm moving around all over the place here. So after I pulled the water pump out, I found that the vanes, some of the vanes were actually missing and have split and have ended up inside the engine casing. Fortunately, as I pulled the pump out, all the water came out and those broken pieces came out with it. But this is just an example of why you need to change these things when you change the belt. You can assume that they're okay from the exterior because they're not leaking and the bearing seems fine. But VW have taken it upon themselves to make these vanes out of plastic. And as you can see, as I'm just about to demonstrate, there you go. You just touch this stuff and it just snaps off. Just like all the other plastics on the car, they're useless. So if you're going to change your belt, change that. And seriously, I think VW recommend that you change these about the 50,000 kilometer mark. This one was obviously overdue. Was one of the few things on this car that was overdue to be done, to be honest. The previous owner had spent quite a lot of attention, as I'd said, getting most of this stuff done. This is the tensioner pulley for the timing belt. It's quite a bizarre pulley, quite an interesting design. It just has a little 13mm retaining nut there. I suppose VW have a special tool for adjusting these, but you don't really need it. You can use your fingers and you can squeeze this contraption on the back. It's on a cam, and you can adjust the tension of the belt on the pulley with your fingers and then tighten the locking nut back up. It takes a bit of experience knowing how much tension to put on your belt when you do apply pressure. If you tension it too high, you end up with a whining noise on the engine because the belt's too tight, and every time these teeth contact the pulleys, they contact them too harshly and you end up with a whining sound. That was a successful belt change, no water leaks. I also went ahead and I changed the camshaft seal and the front crankshaft seal at the same time. I don't want to have to pull the whole thing to bits again just to do those later, so that's all done. This is the intake manifold gasket, the air intake manifold, which is here. The air intake manifold connects just under this cover here to the lower portion, and in between you have this gasket, so I replaced that at the same time. What else have I done? I have replaced the aerial. The aerials on VWs split here. They sit in the sun, they break down over time. That's the aerial right there. Now, as you can see, these two aerials are different, and the reason being is that I don't want to use a VW aerial because I don't like the plastics that VW provide. So I went ahead and I found a very similar aerial. This one is a Japanese aerial. Hopefully the rubber won't be as prone to perishing as the VW German aerial. Another thing I did was replace the seat, the aerial seat here. This is another piece of plastic, rubber / plastic. It fails, it splits. This particular one was missing when we got the car. So I had to take out the headliner of the vehicle. Sorry, it's kind of dark. So you have to take out this headliner, and if you take it out from the back, you can drop it down just low enough that you can get the retaining nut off the base of the aerial. You can pull the aerial out and replace that. So as I said, this one's had all its plastics, what would you say, not resurfaced because they haven't been covered in any paint. They've just had the original tacky gluey paint all stripped off, so you can hear no soft touch plastic there anymore. It's just the base plastic material. But this one's in really nice condition, no splits, no cracks, very good. It's had the original cloth door inserts removed. They would have fallen off years ago on this particular car, and the previous owner has been very kind to me because he's had these all replaced with a nice leather door panel interior, so that's very pleasing. It's something I don't have to do on this car. What else have I done? I've replaced, sure we can't see it, it's probably too low, but I've replaced all the dampers. The original dampers on this car are provided by Sachs. They're all done, front and rear dampers, top mounts, and I've changed all of the fluids. The fluid in the gearbox was not the original transmission fluid. The gearbox wasn't changing gear very smoothly. Now that's fine. We've put in some Japanese transmission fluid, which is recommended for this particular car. I think I've got one bottle remaining. So we've put in some Jomo ATF Special Dreamer series. Doesn't sound particularly great, but believe it or not, this is very high quality ATF oil. And so far we've been using this for several years, and we've never had a problem with automatic gearboxes slipping using that oil, as long as you keep using that oil and don't switch to any poor cheap brand. We've changed all the fluids in this. We've changed the engine oil. We'll put in some Ajip 5W50 engine oil. We put in some Ajip brake fluid, change the transmission oil, change the power steering oil, change the antifreeze. We've done everything that we can to try and prevent any accelerated breakdown of any more components in this system, because this is not the type of car that you want to take to bits every day to fix things. So that's it. Let's just go around the car. So this again is a 2000 Beetle, lime green, my wife's favorite color, and it's in really nice condition. It's going to be even nicer once it has been for valeting. But as you can see, even without cleaning, it's very nice, very clean. You'll notice here that VW have put in a, how many discs? 6-disc changer, 6-disc CD changer down there. Obviously this is a bit of an archaic system. I don't think anybody uses CDs anymore, so what I've done is I have, can we get some light in here? No, because there's no interior light up here. I've pulled out the original stereo for two reasons. It's going to be replaced. I've got a part on order from the States. There's a radio surround that can be put in, so you can fit in any aftermarket stereo and it still conforms with the curvature of the dash. This is the original stereo, and on all original stereos, the volume control, there we go, we're turning it down, and the volume goes up and down and up and down and up and down. The button doesn't work properly, so we turn it up, we get no volume, then all of a sudden it comes on, goes off. Anyway, I've fixed one of these before. Pull the entire stereo to pieces, you take out the pot, the resistor, and you clean it with circuit board cleaning fluid. You blow it dry with a compressor nozzle, you clean it again, you do that a few times, you build it back up, and it seems to fix it. What I'm going to do with this is I'll fix it, I'll clean it up, and then I'm going to pull out all of the system once it's been tested. I'm just going to sell that on eBay or somewhere. I'm sure a lot of VW owners who prefer keeping original equipment would be happy to have a stereo that works. But I'm going to put in, I found a JVC stereo online with a nice blue screen that matches the blue of the dash lights. If we can get some dash lights on. There we go. So you can see the dashboard is blue in this one. Stereo is orange. On this one it matches the orange instruments here, but I'm going to go with a blue fascia, blue luminescent JVC stereo. We've got a blue screen on this one, so it should keep in fitting with the original dash and color of the car. So that would be nice, but the new stereo would just be USB and MP3 input. It's not even going to have a CD player. I don't have any CDs anymore. I doubt that many people do. So that's that. The plastics in here are really nice. The thing that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to replace these. These are the cup holders, and again, with all plastics, famous for failing. You can see we've got a split in this one. And I did call up initially to order these the other day from our VW supplier, and our supplier provides us parts pretty reasonably priced. And well, as I said, I was all ready to order one until I heard the price. One of these is over 2,000 NT, about 2,500 NT, and there are 1, 2, 3 back here. There's a missing one. 3 cup holders in all. So I'm not going to spend close to 10,000 NT to replace those cup holders. What I might try and do is find a way of fabricating new ones or repair the existing ones, but they're going to stay like that. No, that's about it. So actually we have a great working car right now. I've just road tested it. I'm really happy with the way that it's performing at present. No fault codes, no leaks, nothing. It's quiet. Plastics don't rattle all over the place. So for a short period at least, this car should be fairly nice to drive. I'm sure my wife will be happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it. So that's that. So anyway, I hope you liked the video. We'll be probably driving this car and selling it. I mean, if somebody's interested in it, I'll be happy to pass this on to somebody who appreciates a nice, good-looking, well-serviced, well-prepared Beetle. So that's it for now. This is Jamie signing off. I hope you liked this walk and talk. I'll be back with another one later.